Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine, and we're welcome with CCP Podcasting's own Chris Page. How we doing, man?
I'm living the dream, man. How are you?
Doing the same thing. It's crazy how that works. Before we dive into everything you got going on, which seems like a lot, would you like to let us know where we can check you out on social medias, upcoming episodes, things like that?
Oh man, you can catch all of our stuff on Instagram, CCP underscore podcasting. It's where our channel page is at. And then of course all the hosts have their own individual channel plugs or individual channels on Instagram. Mine is CCP or Chris underscore page underscore CCP podcasting is where my individual one is at. YouTube is CCP podcasting. Twitch is CCPE podcasting. We do everything live. We shoot everything live on Twitch and we're live 5-6 days a week, man. There's a lot. I just say follow on social media and jump on whichever show fits your interest and tickles your fancy.
Okay. So as far as your live streams go, is it just interviews with talent and people in wrestling, or do you review shows? Like, what does that talent? Excuse me. What does that content look like on Twitch?
Oh, brother, man. So there were so many hit or miss ideas when it came to streaming initially, but we've honed in on a weekly schedule, like on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we do what's called Inside the Indies. So where we'll
Mhm.
watch a different independent show from somewhere in the world randomly, usually with no context. On Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, we do our wrestling spotlights. It's where we're focusing on 2 hours of first time match watches from the same independent talent, and they vary from week to week. We have a whole spreadsheet of stuff.
Okay.
Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock, we're doing Down the Rabbit Holes, or we're doing other full show watch alongs as well. Down the Rabbit Holes is where we're looking at matches from a different company from somewhere in the world. Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, it's Wrestling Request Live. It's where we listen to our audience and we take their request and watch them back and enjoy it. And that's it's kind of like our free day. And then
Okay.
I scatter our interviews throughout, brother. Like on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays are usually busy days. Sundays are usually busy days. But we kind of factor them and play them in wherever we can get the time. If talent says, "Oh, I'm available Monday," well then we won't do an Inside the Indies. We'll bring in our Beyond the Bell guest and do a show there and have fun with it. It turned into what was 3 or 4 days a week is now like 7, and it's wild, man. It's a wild ride.
So you told me off air you started about 2 years ago.
Yes.
What went into the decision to start creating content, and what was the vision then, and how has that changed?
Okay, so that's a good question. Are you familiar? Well, you familiar with e-fetting at all? It's a
A little bit.
role
Yeah, like
playing.
kinda
Okay,
role-playing,
yeah,
fantasy
yeah, yeah,
booking
yeah.
type thing. Yeah.
So that's where I got my start in podcasting.
Okay.
Was doing e-fed podcasting, and I was just fucking around and having a good time with it, and we got I say we, it was me and a couple other cats, had a wild hair up our ass. We just wanted to live stream. Well, I had my YouTube platform, which was way back then was just low on my priority list. Not a big thing for me. Didn't really care, but we started like recording not live at the time, but just individual wrestling matches and us watching them, like old NWA stuff or old territory wrestling stuff, and just throwing it out individual matches on YouTube. And it started to roll. Then we started live streaming, and we were watching a lot of old school WWF, NWA. If it was world class AWA, like if it was old school shit, we were watching it and we were streaming it live. It wasn't until about a year ago that we really, about a year and a, maybe 13, 14 months ago, that we really pivoted to the independent scene. And that was when really things started to take off.
Mhm.
So like from the older days, it was, the nostalgia of wrestling. And then we started getting into the independent scene. And reality is this, like, I was a buddy of mine, John, he's still on the channel today, was one of the first to really partner up with me on this adventure. And we threw a dart at the map on a Monday because we wanted to stream something. We wanted to watch an indie, but we wanted to watch something that we didn't know. And I think I was just stoned or my aim was just really terrible. But it landed in Australia, and you have to think about that for a second.
It's off the board.
It's this map is across my wall, right? So I had to throw way off, but it was the best throw that I ever made because it took us to Riot City Wrestling in Australia.
Okay.
And we watched the show back with no context, and all of a sudden I was like, what the fuck are we watching? It was really good wrestling. Then the wheel started to roll. And I would credit Riot City Wrestling to this day for our platform being a thing. Because had it not been that chance night, that chance show, as we were watching the show, the ideas start coming. We should probably do this again and watch more stuff from people that we don't know and companies that we've never seen and do it internationally because everybody's here in the States is focusing on the States. Nobody's focusing on the other continents that are out there. And there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of companies. And that's how we began. That's how this journey, this wild thing really started. And Riot City welcomed us with open arms and off to the races we go.
Mhm. So when you shifted toward your focus towards um, independent wrestling, did the goal change?
Well, see, no, I don't think so because where I think I'm a little different. I think our platform's a little different. Is we're not here for ourselves. We're here. We're watching this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
We just turned the camera on. This wasn't anything new. This was just more like, okay, now we're gonna film ourselves doing this. Did we all watch wrestling together? No. But did we all watch wrestling? Yeah. Did we all watch independent wrestling? Not as much at the time. And now it's like every fucking day we're watching something new and somebody different catches our eye, and then it becomes how do I go talk to this person because now I want to explore what they have going on, explore their areas. At the end of the day, the goal's always been to have fun and to educate ourselves really, because without these guys, I tell the talent all the time that come and talk to us. They always thank us, and I'm no man, because we're just doing our part. You're the guys that are out there lacing them up and entertaining us. So the thanks goes to you because if we don't have you, we don't have the companies that you work for putting out the product for us to watch, then we don't have shit. Nothing. So like I appreciate it. I always, I do, but at the end of the day, it's always been about the talent. It's always been about introducing them to new people and a new audience. And if we can get one person, just one of our audience to follow them, to like them on social media, if they have YouTube pages, go and subscribe to their channels. All the stuff is free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. Get that word of mouth out there that this talent exists. You may need to watch him. Just go check a match out. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
if we can do that, then we're putting their work in front of new people. And I think ultimately that should be our goal. That should be the goal of anybody who's trying to stream and or to put content out there that revolves around like I'd say especially independent wrestling. It's not about us. It's about them because if they're not out there, we ain't got shit. And I don't we don't lose sight of that on our channel.
Have you been able to see have you been able to see your content actively helping independent wrestling?
So I say all the time that I've not seen it myself personally. I know that I know what I'm told.
Mhm.
I know what I'm told from companies.
Yes.
I know what I'm told from talent. I
Mhm.
know what I'm told, and I'm told that it moves the needle a little bit. That they see, like, and as an example, there's several feds in Australia that we do some work with.
Mhm.
Anytime that we do a stream for them or we watch their stuff, they do see increases in their watch times. Portugal's the same way. They see increases in the number of people who watch the videos and who go to their page. So they see it, right? I,
Can't.
don't really I hate to say it this way, but I'm not a big I don't really care about those kind of numbers.
Okay.
Like, because I'm always a big guy. I'm big fan of you're gonna watch it if you want to watch it.
Mhm.
If you don't want to watch it, you're not gonna watch it. And I'm okay with that. And because I truly feel like we as people, can like or not like whatever we want. It's fine. But when it come down to the bottom line of like the numbers game, I can just say, like, I've been told more often than not, yes, that definitely there is a positive impact on it, and that's a win. That means that their content is being seen, whether it's, you know, coincidental that I'm streaming it at the same time or promoting a stream or what have you versus just day-to-day traffic and somebody just came across it. No, I couldn't tell you that. I don't know. I just know that they say yes, that there's definitely something there. So that to me is a positive.
Great. I couldn't agree more with that statement because I've been told the same thing, and I know as a young podcaster, it's one of those things that sometimes I struggle to be able to acknowledge those things. Like I don't want to say, "Hey, I helped" at all. Like I just humbly, I'm like, "Nah, I didn't do that. You guys did
See,
that," kind of thing.
I'm kind of the same way. See, like, I always ask people, "How can I help?"
Yes.
That's
What can I
that's
do to help you?
literally how can I help? Yeah,
How can
that's
I
the
get you on
mentality that
and
I have.
spread your word? And is there more content we could make to get you out there? Like, is there something maybe these companies aren't giving you that maybe we could put together and help get you out there? Things like that.
Facts. Sorry, had to cough.
You're
My
good.
bad.
Have you had any of those like maybe out of the box ideas with the talent or other podcasters that's like, okay, like we're doing this right, but let's try this and see if this works?
I have several
Okay.
actually. Some of my favorites are going to involve talent.
Mhm.
So if I know that you got a big match coming up and we've got a really good relationship, this actually happened. It's happened several times, but it happened not too long ago with Millennium Pro Wrestling out of Southern California, out in the Los Angeles area. Chatsworth guys, every Friday night, clip that, put it out there, and tag them. They're gonna love you for it. Uh, they had a really big championship match. Had their champion and their challenger on a live stream and instigated an in character conversation. And the history between the both of them, like, it was rich. It was a really good job. I love doing stuff like that because the talent love to be in character
Mm.
just as much as they love to be out of character, right? So it gives the audience something special, and we do that all the time. I've had people get jumped on my show before.
Okay.
Like,
That's
I w
interesting.
and I didn't know they didn't smarten me up. I didn't know it was coming.
Okay.
It was at a Platinum Championship Wrestling. I think we had, like, 5 or 6 of their guys on, and,
Who'd you have on from there? I've had
we had
Najaism on. That might be the
yeah,
only
Naja.
PSW
He's a great
I've
dude.
had on.
Naja's Naja's a good dude. We did sponsorship with him earlier this
He's
year,
full of shit.
for one of the change events. Yeah, yeah, he was up, in New York not too long ago, with One Division Pro,
You know,
doing some stuff up there.
what's
He's,
I think what's funny about him is his character's so cool, and I'm a big action figure guy. I make action figures, and he was one of the first guys I saw in the indies that I was like, "I can make a figure of you, and I bet it'd blow up."
you better stand up and clap for the hoochie daddy. Uh, that's my little joke with him is he always says stand up and clap for your hoochie daddy, and I always change out the your. I said stand up and clap for thy hoochie
Thy
daddy.
Hoochie.
Gotta make it more biblical. Uh, you know, but he's a great dude. Nausea, he was only got jumped by Hunter James. It was great. I didn't know it was coming, and I was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" I said, "What are we doing here?"
He's a worker, though. That's why I
I was
brought
like,
him
"If
up.
we're I was like, man, if we were working, you should have just clued me in, and I could have sold the shit out of that
Yep.
for you. We could have really set that up, and I could have poked and prodded, and yeah, we could have done some things. But I think the biggest accomplishment that I'm looking forward to when it comes to relationships and building the relationships with people and what we're trying to do and striving to do, it's actually going to be in March of next year
Mhm.
as a part of our live events. We're going out to Southern California. We're going to Chatsworth. And we're partnering up with Millennium Pro Wrestling, and we're partnering up with Primal Pro Wrestling out of San Diego, and having what I'm calling, and I don't know if they're going to call it that or not. I'm calling it a what did I say it was going to be? Jesus Christ! Oh man! chapter 3. Was it the Southern California All Star Extravaganza,
Okay.
featuring Primal Pro Wrestling and Millennium Pro Wrestling, and I have talent from both companies that are going to do the show and building this kind of it's not a a Primal Pro versus Millennium Pro. It's not that. It's more of a celebration of Southern California wrestling
Okay.
and good Southern California wrestling and getting all these guys on the shows. So that's what I mean, that's a pretty big deal for us, as a channel to take our first. That's going to be the first show that we take on the road. And of course, I said chapter 3, which means that there's 2 before that. But it's just one of those things that I am looking forward to, man. It's who knew, 2 years ago. Fast forward 2 years, and we're doing live events now.
Looking back and doing the whole hindsight thing is crazy because I just had a promoter on here, I believe. No, I was on another podcast. Sorry, I do so many of these. I was on somebody else's podcast up here in Chicago, and they asked me why I started this. And I said, well, I started, and before I did the interviews, I did action figure content. I did reviews, I did stop motion, just kind of as a
Mm.
hobby. And there was some of these kids that started their own podcast, and they was talking to each other about the little figure channel and the fantasy booking they do with the figures and shit like that. And I was like, that's interesting. And there's so many of them. Like there's hundreds of these kids who do it. I was like, I could do that. And I could do it in a professional way that maybe could take off. Well, little children don't like the schedule to be on anything and do it. So my dad was like, look, you've only got 2 of these kids to answer. Why don't you message some independent guys? And next thing you know, I got Madman Pondo on and Sabu and Rhino, and the ball just goes and goes and goes. Have you been able to see like a progression like that where, you just started and you had one thing happen, next thing you know, fucking the whole ideas changed, you getting guys on and you're like, okay, this isn't what I initially thought, but we're rolling now.
Well, no, no, because the vision never was to sit down and have Beyond the Bells and conversations with, all these talents across the world. That was an evolve of the channel. Sorry, my dogs are deciding to yap in the
It's
background.
all right.
But that was a piece of where we just came to. Let's say I go back to the EFED part of the equation. One of the shows that I was doing at one point in time was I was talking to different e-fetters all over the world. So it wasn't new to me to sit down and, go an hour and have a conversation and with random people, right? Like, it wasn't a video format. It was all audio at that point. Uh, but we decided that it was something that we wanted to try and do. And I never thought that, you know, we would start rolling. We started in Australia. Talked to my boy Red Shaw. Shout out Shaw. He's still the dude that I credit Beyond the Bells to. See, Australia was very, very crucial for us, for the platform and then for Beyond the Bells, because he was the first one to say yes.
Okay.
He's like, yes, I'll come and talk to you. And I was like, cool. Well, I didn't know what to do with it. But we started to roll, and then Skrilla the Great introduced us to Georgia 4 or 5 episodes in, which is where we came across Naja and Owen Knight and so many Rico Gonzalez, so many tremendous pieces of talent that's out. Bryce Cannon, that's out on the scene out there, and it was never about, I want to go and get this big name or that big name or this or the other. To me, it was always about the hidden gems and finding those guys who you don't know
Yeah.
and maybe you should get to know,
Mhm.
because here's what happens when you do that. Like, for starters, they're way more appreciative that you're even taking notice in them.
Yes.
Number one. And then with our platform with independent wrestling, as you're well aware, it is on fucking fire everywhere in such a positive way. There's so many companies out there that you can't keep up with them. Nobody can.
It's impossible.
But you know who can? People who are in the local markets.
Okay.
and they can turn you on to companies that they work for and companies that they do business with, which is happens all the time, which is how I do and can consider myself kind of a connoisseur of independent wrestling because I'm going down that rabbit hole in my private time
Yeah.
to research these other companies. And then I do a show on them and then they appreciate it. And then you start building those relationships and it's like a brush fire.
Mhm.
And then it starts to brush and it starts to go and it starts to move. Have we had some notable names with our interviews? Absolutely, man. I've had Alex Kane, who I thought was fantastic
Fantastic
interview.
interview.
Uh, Danny Limelight, Richard Holiday, Aaron Rourke. Yeah, they're fuck. Who else has come in? Mark Haskins, T.J. Cooper, or T.K. Cooper, excuse me, from overseas. Probably want to have a sunshine machine. He's going to kill me if he finds out I botched his name. Don't clip that. It's my dude. Uh, we've been fortunate. Jenny Basson, excuse me, Hollywood from Glow,
Okay.
fantastic. We've had a lot of really good interviews, but to me, like they're all special in their own way.
Mhm.
But I look for those guys that you need to be fucking watching. They're Devious Cass is someone I'll throw out there right now. Just started being able to travel. Just turned 18. He's been doing this shit since he was 13 years old.
Badass.
Fantastic piece of talent. Uh, you know, guys like that are somebody that I want to be able to look back on here in the next 5 to 6 years and say, I fucking told you.
Mhm.
And not just him. There's so many other guys out there right now that are just, oh my God. Chef's kiss when it comes to talent and it comes to getting in the ring and getting it done. And I those are the ones and the guys that I look for because I'm like, yeah, we need to talk to you because you're under the radar.
Definitely. Where did you get the name for your podcast? CCP podcast.
That was my ring name.
Okay. What was your ring?
Uh, Chronic Chris Page.
Okay.
Back in, I mean, and this is where I date myself. Like I was in the ring from '99 to like '05.
Okay.
It wasn't, I was regional. There wasn't anything to write home to mom about. I was just good at talking and putting asses in seats so people can watch people punch me in the face. Like that was my role, and I was okay with it. Uh, but when we started doing the podcasting stuff, I didn't have a name. I didn't know what to do, and I created that character because that was me under a different name. Just turned up a little bit. Uh, and I was always a big fan of Diamond Dallas Page back in the mid to late '90s. That's where Chronic Chris Page came in. So there it is, CCP podcasting.
Easy.
It's just easy, it's simple, and no one had the website domain, so it was easy to buy. So I grabbed that too.
I love it. So, just out of curiosity, and in '99 or in the late '90s, what made you decide to pursue wrestling?
I just loved it. I grew up as an '80s child and was really big into old NWA, Southern wrestling. So I grew up in Alabama. I live in Florida currently. So I was really big into, the old, uh, so again, Southern style wrestling, Memphis and NWA stuff. So I just loved it. And it never, as you grow up, you, things come and go.
Mhm.
Something I always tell even to some of my friends today is I always look at things, go back to the infamous scene in Fight Club where Brad Pitt's describing everything as single serving. And that's kind of how I look at things and kind of how I look at a lot of different things because it's here for why it's here. And then, it's here today, gone tomorrow, except for the love of professional wrestling.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, I would never kick and it would never go away. So I decided that it's at 16, 17 years old that I was going to try and pursue something and did. And did all right. I wasn't half bad, but again, I wasn't nothing to write home to mom about. And I think that's a piece of what allows me to connect a little bit more with our platform and with the talent that we do talk to is because unlike the guys on the platform, my co-host, uh, I'm the only one. John aside, John was a talent at one point in time. We're the only two on the channel that have any experience on the backside of professional wrestling. So we're just able to relate, right? I'm able to look at it from the lens of a talent as well as the lens of a fan, because for the last 2 decades, that's all I've been doing is watching as a fan. So it's kind of a good little dynamic to have because I can understand and I get it. And there's things that will click with me as a host to have a conversation with that won't click with one of my co-hosts who have never laced a pair of boots and wouldn't understand if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. What made you decide to leave in '05?
Well, I made some bad decisions.
Okay.
I got hooked in with the wrong crowd, with wrong people, and made just bad choices, dude. At the end of the day, I got hooked up with some drug usage, and I needed to take care of myself.
Mhm.
And ultimately, I was put in a position to where I needed to make a choice. I made that choice, and I'm okay with that choice. I have a very addictive personality. That's what I tell people because it's true. Um, and I just I followed that wrong path, and I don't know what would have happened if I didn't.
Mhm.
If I wouldn't have gotten involved with it. Um, and I didn't touch professional wrestling or anything to do with it outside of watching it for 2 decades. The platforms would change that. And I feel to this day that like I feel like I was put here for a reason. And I just gotta, I had to figure out what that reason was. And now I think I know what that reason is, which is so fucking wild when you sit back and think about it. I almost died in a hotel. Like that's where I was at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like to go from almost dying and waking up to nobody being there and having to figure out what was going on to now being on the cusp of being able to change the game.
Mhm.
I think for a lot of talent and a lot of companies and a lot of people in general on the independent scene specifically, with the things that we're about to do as a channel that I can only pivot and take it back to the love of wrestling. So like I'm in a spot now to where I don't regret anything because it made me who I am. It made me change the way I think about things. It made me change the way I think about people. Made me think about, you're put in situations like that and you either have to, make that correction. And I tell people all the time, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I still make mistakes every day, but do I learn from them? And if the answer to that question is yes, then I have made progress. And for a guy who was at rock bottom, who's now climbing back up, I think if anybody's struggling with anything like that, or anybody's struggling with any kind of past mistakes, they don't define you. You define you. And what you do with your life after that mistake is what people should focus on. And if there are those out there who constantly want to remind you of where you were or what you've done or blah, 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 whatever that looks like for you, well, those people aren't for you.
Mhm.
And if anybody out there is hearing this and they think to themselves, I have someone like that in my life, you probably need to get rid of them because they're not here to help you. They're here to hurt you, and it will continue. I don't play around with stuff like that. I just keep it 100% real and I keep it 100% authentic. I know that people will not like me for there's going to be a large chunk of people that may not like me, but I don't care. I'm not here to be liked by anybody other than my husband, who has been by my side for the last decade, other than my dogs, and other than the guys on my channel who rely on me. Outside of that, I'm good,
Mhm.
and I love that. I love the fact that we've been able to make a lot of relationships and be able to help a lot of different people in some form or fashion. Hell, the people the co-host on my channel, we didn't come in with a number of co-hosts that we wanted. I just if I found people that enjoy what we're doing and have followed along for an extended period of time, I bring them and put them on the air. I'll give you the opportunity just like I give everybody else because this is just entertainment. We're here to have fun.
Absolutely.
Uh, and you can't lose sight of that at all. Sorry. I say I get one of those. That's my show rant. And I got one of them on yours.
I love it. Those are my favorite. The show rants, it's what I strive for because it enhances that content.
I'm just saying.
Ah,
And I'm just one of those cats, man. I'm really to the point, and I think that's what a lot of people like, at least the talent in the industry that have come on our show. That's one thing that they say they love about it is I don't pull punches. I'm not. We don't do that. Um, I want to help people. I want to put. I really and ultimately want to utilize the platform, not just for myself, because we're gonna get ours anyway. And you, as a podcaster yourself, you're gonna get your rub off of whoever comes in and sits in this chair.
mm,
Whether it's me, whether it's the Hardy Boys, whether it's whoever, you're going to be introduced to a different fan base.
100%.
And that's where we, and I say we as podcasters, should understand that we're gonna be seen anyway.
Mhm.
So it's like I tell the guys, my guys, we're not here to put ourselves over
Mm-mm.
because we're gonna be put over anyway, just by doing the show, just by the talent watching it, even if it's just for that 8 or 9 minutes that they're on it. They're gonna know who you are. So our job is to make sure that we're reacting authentically and not overreacting if it's bullshit because people can see through fake
100%.
and it's happened.
I think that
It's
that's
it's
my
happened.
biggest response is like just genuinely people, the people that have liked the content have just genuinely told me off of passion alone is why they like the content. Not necessarily that the content is good, but the passion behind it is good. So they like,
You got to love what you do,
yes.
and if you don't love what you do, then why are you doing it? So like the biggest things again because we're seen on every continent. Like my metrics don't lie, the numbers don't lie. But I tell the guys all the time, again, people can see through fake. Don't be fake at all. And be honest with yourself because somebody makes a mistake. We probably don't need to focus on the mistake. Focus on how quick they recover. Focused on did they get the crowd back? How fast did that take?
Mhm.
I will if and I will pivot that and I will fucking nail that shit down and make them look like rock stars, even though they flubbed and made a mistake. And then we should be trying to make our audience forget that they saw a mistake, unless it's just super egregious. Slip on a banana peel, it's your own fucking fault, and I'm gonna laugh at you.
So something that always interests me, especially when talking to podcasters, is discussing the challenges in doing a podcast on wrestling and more importantly, I guess, on independent wrestling. Like, what are some of the challenges you faced?
Well, it's for me, it was finding the concepts for the right shows,
Okay.
right? So, like, yes, we want to build our audience. We want people to come in, and if you stumble into our live stream, because it happens frequently, we want you to know that what you're watching. The biggest challenge that we had initially was narrowing down show concepts to weekly content, right? That's where the Monday and Thursday shows usually don't change unless I have some, live show guests from Portugal or we're doing some other stuff with some people overseas. Those may change where we'll be doing a live stream, but we'll have a guest. It could be a Beyond the Bell, which is one of our conversations, or it could be a watch party where we have somebody from a different, part of the world coming in, representing the companies that we're watching and watching stuff back. Those will be the only times that shit changes. But what works? That's when we found out the full watch parties where we're watching the random shows. We started seeing increases in the viewership because the talent are showing up. Some of the owners are showing up. Fans of the company are showing up. And then those people will come back. Not when we're doing stuff on them, when they see us streaming again, right? So I realized real quick, I was like, this is something that will put a different company in front of our audience and will draw from their audience as well. That seems like a win. And then the spotlight shows. We were originally spotlighting old, legends, really. I just pivoted that concept. There's so many independent wrestlers out there. Let's start doing our spotlights on independent wrestlers, independent talent. Pull in matches. Let's watch them and see what happens. And that's just those were the two bases that started, and then everything else just kind of evolved from there. And we got to, you know, doing some stuff on Europe, doing a straight up spotlight show on European talent over in the UK because that market by itself is massive on our audience. So we created it's our own concept for them. So that we for our bases that have a major pull, we have something for you as we're building bases everywhere else too, and we will have something for them as well. But that was the biggest challenge, was really just trying to figure out as a live streamer, what am I going to do here? And there were a lot of failed concepts before there were successes. And then so like I would tell people, if I had to give them any kind of advice, is don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Because if you're afraid to fail, you're never going to succeed. And you will have more shit concepts that sound great in your head than when you see them translate on camera. You'll be like, it'll make you cringe. And that's okay. It's taking the leap and it's trying, because you don't know which one of those 40 ideas is going to be the one that sticks. And when you have that one, you do the same thing. You rinse and repeat. Especially if you're building, daily and weekly content like we are. That's what we're doing. Find out what works, find out what sticks, find out what time frame works. And then finding the time frame that works for the audience you're trying to appeal to. That's another big piece of the equation too. Like we do our show in the UK, we do it late Saturday night in the UK, early afternoon here. But it's after wrestling shows are over with. You're either at home and you're chilling and you want to watch it, or you're out and about getting smashed and, or having some fish and chips somewhere. I don't know.
So you spoke of content that maybe didn't work. Has there ever been a piece of content that didn't seem like it was working and you pushed it till it did work?
Not really. Um, because I'm more one of those guys that once I know what is working, I try and enhance off of that. And what I mean by that is once I realized that, the watching live shows, we were getting talent and we were getting companies and we were getting fan bases from these feds. That was when I really thought about, all right, we should probably look at the individual talents. And then if we had people come in that were attached to the show, all and were chatting with us and keeping up and giving us context, well, then I would make sure that we went out of our way to do a spotlight show on them. It may not have been immediately, but we would circle around and do a show. um AR Fox, prime example. I hit him up uh and it's just like, hey, I'm gonna film a show on you. He just randomly started following me on social media one day, and I don't know why. Probably because I was covering WWA 4 at some point.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, I'm gonna do a spotlight show on you, man. And like, are there matches out there that you felt like were really important to you? We hadn't done an interview. We haven't talked to him or anything like that. But he gave me like 3 or 4 matches. So I went and found them. And we watched those on top of what else I had found. And little odds and ends.
So when doing the spotlight shows or the watch parties, have you ever had any companies, like independent companies, come back at you and try to get videos taken down for you using their content? Or do you ask
So far,
beforehand?
no.
Okay.
But I have also asked.
Okay.
So if I'm doing a new company,
Mhm.
I will send them a DM and say, "Hey, do you mind?" And it all depends on the company too. Like I have different structures for different feds. There are some feds that I do work with that don't want us to air the live shows,
Okay.
and that's cool too.
Yeah, because they want the views.
So what yeah, so the arrangement that I work out with them is, all right, bro. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna live stream it, and I'm gonna clip it. I'm gonna be clipping live as we're watching. The cool moments, the spots that make the shit look good.
Mhm.
And what we'll do is I will put those clips out, and I'll say, to see the full show, go to such and such YouTube page. So I'll use the content clips to drive to your website if that's what you want. If that means that I can watch the product, then I'm totally fine with that. Because again, not about me.
Yeah.
It's not. I just want to watch your shit. And for me, I have more fun watching it when I'm watching it with people
Okay.
and I'm watching it live.
Yeah.
And then there are companies who straight up were just like, I'm not interested. Don't watch it. Don't watch our stuff. Okay, cool. No problem. I just wanted to ask. And because, I'm not going to assume anything,
Yeah.
but I've made, and there have been times that I've thrown stuff on without asking people. And feds have come back that were like, that was fucking incredible. Will you do that again? Yeah, sure, no problem. And I've had some come back that says, what are you doing? Well, I mean, I'm trying to promote independently. That's what I'm doing. And that's everybody. But I haven't had anybody come back directly, like negatively, and be like, please don't watch our shit. Don't do that. Actually, that's a lie. I had one person come back to me and say, don't ever watch anything that I'm involved with. And that was over a misunderstanding. And I was like, cool, no problem.
Okay.
And won't. So there
Fair
you
enough.
go.
Fair enough. Um, so like when you get a wrestler to come on and watch the shows with you or their matches with you, do you interview them at the same time, or are you just strictly interacting and reacting with what you're watching?
Kind of a mixture of both.
Okay.
Usually if I've got somebody coming in for watch alongs to their own stuff, we're just kind of bullshitting about what we see, and I'm more or less letting them have the floor because they're the ones that are going to have the context behind what we're seeing, and I just kind of chime in whenever appropriate, but it's
Okay.
their time.
Yeah.
And like had one the other night with Big Boy Patty. We watched back one of his matches with Terry Kidd in Florida.
Okay.
It was a fun little match, but I got to sit back and just watch him geek out over how fun this match was and why there were certain spots he was like, oh, that was a throwback to Roddy Piper and this was a throwback here. So just to watch him, I was entertained. But sometimes, yeah, I'll use it as a way to ask questions. And of course, you don't ever know what can happen either, because a lot of these matches too, I'm watching for the first time. So you could get some holy shit reactions out of me, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, we got to talk about that. What was going on here? Blah blah blah. Blah. But it just kind of goes with the flow, really.
Is it cool for you to be able to analyze these matches with these guys and then be able to see it from the wrestler's perspective where you've been in the ring before?
It is, because I'm really big proponent of psychology, and
Okay.
I really like to know how it's put together and why it was put together that way. And in my time, we didn't do a whole lot of that. It was more of listen to the crowd while you're in the ring and go from there. So to see how the game has evolved a little bit in that perspective is kind of interesting to me, because I often want to ask myself, now, could I do that today? Could I really sit down and we're gonna do this to get to this, this will get to this. I don't know if I could do that. I think I would get lost. As I want to listen to them. That's what I did. And that's what we do even with our audience today. Like if we come across something, even a product that I might think is great, if our audience doesn't think so, then we're probably not gonna watch it again.
Mhm.
Or it's gonna be a minute.
Yeah.
So I can test and just make sure, did I miss something? You know what I mean? Like, because again, I tell you, the numbers don't lie.
Mhm.
So what did we miss, and where did we miss? And so it's fun to play that game a little bit here and there, but it's this is interesting. The whole idea of what I'm doing at this point in time, what as I sit down and talk about it in long form, is kind of wild
Yeah.
to see that it started from nothing, and for the first 8 or 9 months stayed at nothing, and then for the last 13, 14 months, it's skyrocketed to links that I had no clue, and depths that I don't know how far it's going to go. I do want to take a minute and talk a little bit about the evolution into the live events, because that's a massive step for us. Because you talk about putting your money where your mouth is, and we talked privately before we came on the air, and
Yeah.
one of the things that I told you is that, as a channel, we don't make a lot of money.
Mhm.
Everything that we do is self financed,
Yes, sir.
and if our platform is trying to say thank you to the independent talent that are out there and the wrestlers that are out there, and our audience specifically, well, what better way to do that than to put on a show
Mhm.
and bring in guys that that we've done work with, that have come in and given us time, because that's the big thing. Everything on our channel is contributed. We haven't paid for anything. No interview time, no nothing. Everybody has come and willingly spoken to us. So if you're going to give us your time, how do we say thank you outside of hoping that somebody goes to follow, somebody hoping that someone checks out your social media or your YouTube page? Go to your market and let's do a show. And that's where we're at right now. November 22nd, chapter 1 is Genesis, self-titled The Beginning, if you will, because it's the beginning of a much bigger piece of the equation. We're doing it in Orlando, and I've got a pretty solid lineup of talent attached to it, and I'm still looking for partners with podcasters, with for sponsorships. I'm still looking for anyone who's trying to that's within the earshot of our voice and wants to be a part of something that's truly going to be special. You need to hit me up, because this isn't just a one-time thing. This is something that across 2026, we're going to see a lot of growth. You're going to see a lot of movement. We have, I say we as a channel, have really been blessed over the last 3 months. We've had several investors step forward that have contributed some finances to our channel, that's allowing us to take some pretty big strides on what the bigger deal is and the bigger concept. And that's just one instance. I told chapter 2 is going to be January 31st of 2026, and chapter 3 is March 28th of 2026. And we're doing these in Orlando, and we're doing these in Los Angeles, man. And it's going to be, this is wild to see that they started as an NWA WWF channel to now shifting to doing live events. And that's not it, dude. Like, that's just a piece, bro. Like, this shit
Right.
is, it's insane.
So, as far as diving into the live events, where did that idea come from, and what really got that ball moving?
I was at a show,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to name the company or anything like that, but it was not the best.
Okay.
There was only a handful of people that really stood out to me. And when I go to live events, I'm looking for to be drawn in, especially if it's a first time watch. But it's not what's important. What's important is, as I'm watching the show and I'm evaluating it in my head, I'm looking around and I'm seeing how many people are here. And then I'm starting, there's also a saying on my channel, behind the scenes. If I say that I'm doing math, it's usually a bad idea. It's usually a bad thing, because I see potential in something, and I'm crunching numbers because I'm seeing what's possible and what's not.
Okay.
And I took a little family of 4 with me too to the show. So actually, I had like 8 or 9 people that went with me to it, but one specifically was a family, and it was they just moved to Florida, hadn't even been down here for a month. Yeah, it was a guy that were one of my technicians at work. I'm a supervisor, so I've got like 4 or 5, 6 people that work underneath me. So he's one of my guys that works underneath me.
Mhm.
For context, and I did the math, and I know what I paid to walk in the front door. So I knew that his had to be considerably higher. We get to the main event, I step to the back where he's at, and I'm just kind of like, it was an outdoor show, so just kind of away from everybody. And I asked him, I asked him 3 questions, 2 questions, sorry. I asked him what he paid to come in the front door. And he told me just shy of $100. And I was like, okay. I said, did you get you feel like you got the entertainment for your dollar? And he's like, have you seen my wife? She hasn't moved in 2 hours. So yeah, I think just for that sake alone, I've gotten the entertainment for my money. So I considered, pulled out my phone, and now I'm really doing math. And I know off of the numbers that I computed, I know what the gate drew in, and I know roughly about what the talent was paid, and I know what that show made. And I went, I bet you talent's not being paid the way they should be paid here,
Probably not.
because that's just the way it is. It's just the way it goes.
That's how
Just
indie
the way it
wrestling.
is on the scene. So at that point, that was where the spark drew, and that was on a Saturday night. By that Tuesday afternoon, I had already contacted talent. I had gotten rates. I had done everything short of find a venue, and everything short of paying for graphics to be done.
Okay.
So I then tracked down a venue, found a venue, priced the show out, and I had self-financed it. The first show, all of it. And I'm going to lose. We're going to lose money, and that's okay. I don't give a fuck. It's not here for the money. I'm here for the guys. I'm here for them to have a platform, and I'm here to grow. So I need to know, what do I have to do? But in order to do that, you have to have the first show. It has to get done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's where it came from. And then as I really started to hone in on things, like I was like, we have a pretty big base here in Florida. We've got a pretty big base in Southern California. We've got a couple other places where we've got a pretty big base in the States. I was like, we should probably look into maybe going out there to these other locations and just pricing it out.
Okay.
And seeing what happens, because and you know, I could have done this a little bit cheaper. I had several guys that were like, I'll come and do this for free, man. I just want to do the show. And I appreciate anybody that wanted to do that, but we're paying you something, because
Fine. It's your
you know what
body,
I mean? Like,
your effort. Love.
I'm this isn't here's an opportunity. It's not a hot dog and a handshake.
Mhm.
It's we see value in you, and I want to show it to other people. And we're gonna be filming. We're gonna be releasing the show. Like, this is a pretty big fucking deal for me, and it is a pretty big deal for our channel. Um, and it's just the beginning. It truly is. That's why it's entitled Genesis. Just Genesis means beginning. It's there's a lot of other things that are going to be happening. And in the process of this, fun fucking fact, I had to get merchandise, right? Like, there's a lot that I have to do here. And I'm pricing t-shirts, and I'm pricing all this other stuff, and I don't like the numbers that I'm seeing. So as I said a minute ago, I was talking to one of my investors, called me last week or the week before last, and I was sitting at my desk, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing math." And he went, "Oh shit." He said, "You can call me back?" I went, "Yep." So I started phoning print shops locally, asking, what kind of equipment are you using? What kind of stuff do you use to do your shirts? What kind of stuff are you using here? Like, what's your equipment? And some of them are telling me, dumbasses. That's all I needed them to do, was just give me a little bit of information, and then I can fill in the blank and do the rest. And I did. And I found out that I could get a lot of this printing stuff for under $2,000. And I did. And this is where I say the game's about to change. No more are the guys that are on the scene gonna get ripped for fucking merchandise and printing and anything of that nature, because we're gonna be capable in the next 2 weeks of printing just about anything. Any kind of merchandise you can think of, we'll be able to do it. And we'll have our website launched in the next 2 weeks too. We've got at least there's 9 different affiliates right now, feds, companies, from different people, graphic designers, to fucking gear designers, to you name it. We're trying to partner up with as many people. We want to be a one-stop shop for all things independent wrestling, and that's the goal. That is now the goal. You talked about like what has shifted and what has changed. That's been a big shift. Is now it's like I'm going to put ourselves in a position, and with the help of our investors into our channel, to where we can actually make a difference. Everybody can talk about it, but now we can actually be about it, and we can do something about it. Just as a case in point, again, we talked before we came on the air. It's like our general consensus is most of these guys were paying $10 a t-shirt, $10, $12, $13 a t-shirt in some places. We can get that cost down to $6 or $7 a shirt. We can do that and automatically save them, and anyone really for that matter, that 150 plus on an order of shirts, and get you more, and to be able to do more things, and not charge you astronomically to make that happen. I think that that's a game changer. And I know for a fact right now that there's 7 people right now that are just waiting for us to say, okay, we're ready. Today, I told you I had to be somewhere at noon. I've got to go over to our other space because we're printing the first 20 t-shirts today, just to see if we're.
Test run.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Makes sense.
And getting shit together. I'm excited, dude. This is gonna be a wild ride. This is gonna be a fun journey, and I welcome anybody that wants to take part in it, to hop on, because this isn't we're really, really about growing and growing together, because the saying on the channel initially was professional wrestling can bring people together, and it can if you allow it to. But you have to be able to allow it to. And what
Mhm.
does that mean? I mean, it's just because I may not like something doesn't mean that somebody else can't like it. The tribalism got to go away. People need to understand that sometimes just because you have an opinion doesn't mean that you need to voice it. And we need to really realize that we're all people. And if I cut my finger and you cut yours, we're all bleeding red. We're all people. And people need to treat people with respect, and treat people with a little self-respect too. I'm telling you, man, I did the pricing on our t-shirts for our live event, and I went, get the fuck out of here. It was insane. They literally, we were trying to get 100 t-shirts, and they wanted almost $800 for them. I was like, no.
There's no margin for profit at that.
No, and the dude, like one of the cats locally, was like, "Oh, I can do them for like $16 a shirt, and that's a steal. You're gonna sell them for what, 20?" And
You're making $4 a shirt.
I was like, "Bro," he's like, "And
That's
I'm
not,
already cutting you a deal." I went, "Whose fucking eyes are you cutting me a deal, dude?"
I
I
agree.
left it at that. But this is gonna be great, man. I think there's some big opportunities that we're ready to experiment with and play with, and the channel itself has never been in a better spot. I couldn't do it without the guys too. I want to throw a little shout out to them before if we're winding things down or not. But I definitely want to talk about JB from No Game Unturned, and Goth, and Paul, Devlin, all those cats. Like we're John, obviously, 3 here in the States, and then I've got a couple that are overseas with Paul and Devlin and Goth. So we kind of have the market locked down on independent wrestling everywhere.
I love it.
We focus on stuff here in the States. I got them focusing on that side of the country and that side of the world. And they bring stuff to me and I said, let's go. Let's make it happen. And without those cats, man, it's pretty boring without them.
I got a couple more questions, then I'll let you go.
Sure, man.
I wanna dive back into the live event aspect. So you're planning to do some in Orlando,
Mhm.
Los Angeles. Are you
Uh-huh.
looking to expand into other markets
Of
throughout the
course.
US?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. I've got a couple of markets that I'm looking at. What we're
okay,
doing right now is testing.
gotcha.
When I call it by testing is if I bring a show out there, is it going to draw? And if it does draw, what does that number look like? And in my head, we have, and I say we because there's two different sides of what CCP podcasting is at this point. Live event side is one part of the business, which is live events, live streaming. Merchandising is now another entity within our business that is a totally different situation, totally different avenue. Um, with our live events, the show in Southern California is the first test for that. Just like the show here on the 22nd of November is the first test for Orlando. Now with Orlando, I'm already coming back. I've already got that set. I've already got it, the card set, the talent set. It's more of a all right, we know what we're doing with show one. I want to see if we can bring in other talent, right? Because I want to be married to a certain roster. I want to be able to highlight everybody that we see something in. We'll have a couple of people that we'll have on the shows every month or every other month, but revolving that door so that
Recycling talent,
we
getting
can we
different.
can put well we can put different people in front of our audience
Mhm,
every other month or so and still have some of the same so we can tell some stories and do some odds and ends. But initially, it's going to be about showcasing the talent. In California, that is another avenue. If that show draws and it does well, which I really feel like it will, because I think the audience is looking for something like that.
mhm.
And I know that those two companies specifically are friendly with each other and are also looking for something like this. Like that's not just a my show thing. That's a whole weekend. That's a Millennium Pro show on Friday. That's our show on Saturday, and that's a Primal show in San Diego on Sunday. So it's an all-star weekend. It's the it's literally going to be a Friday night thing, a Saturday night thing, and a Sunday night thing. The other markets that we're looking at, I'm looking at Texas. We've got a lot of good friends in Texas.
Mhm.
I'm also looking up in Jersey. We've got some good friends up in Jersey uh, to test it out with and just see. But before I even explore those avenues and explore those options, I need to see what I'm looking at right now in front of me.
Yeah.
In front of me, the goal is to eventually go weekly, not just weekly in one state, weekly in a couple of states, run multiple shows at multiple locations. Like that's the end game. But we're talking 4 or 5 years from now. You got to crawl before you walk.
Yes.
And we're just starting to crawl. We just got that first little nub going. But it's gonna be wild to see, and it's gonna be an interesting ride. And to know that there's a lot of people out there that do believe in the vision that we're putting out there is a testament. It's gonna be putting it all together and making it into something that the talent can be proud of, something that I can be proud of, and something that the channel can be proud of. I know that our audience that we've built in are stoked. They're excited. Tickets are on sale. You go over to CCP_podcasting on Instagram. It's right there. Um, and I get the question frequently now is like, how can we support if we can't come to the show? Well, that's the beautiful thing. You still can. If you can't come to the show and you still want to support the show, buy a general admission ticket. It's a standing room only event for general admission tickets, and you don't have to be here for that. You can just buy a ticket there's a way to contribute right there. Or you can hit me up directly. There's other kind of avenues and other kind of opportunities where you can help out. And it's just the way it is right now. And we've had a really good relationship with Fight Pro out of New Jersey, up in that area. They're a show sponsor. Dude wasted no time and saying, "What do you need? Here, let me send you this." And to get that kind of love from a company that I've done 2 sponsorships for, mind you, just 2. But to get that kind of love, like, that's cool as shit. That right there tells me that, that what we're doing is appreciated. And it's that's the stuff that I'm looking for. I've got several international companies that are probably gonna step up and do the same thing here in the next couple of weeks. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for you guys to, you know, show some love back if you can, and we'll all grow fucking together.
Last question. It's kind of another plug question, but just to shout out those dates for chapters 1 through 3 again, and then you want to let us know where to catch you on socials again.
Well, chapter 1, November 22nd in Orlando, Florida, Castleberry, Florida to be exact. Main event is the Hawaiian Warrior Keikoa, who shout out Coach K just got signed for Banana Ball on the one of the new teams.
He's a great guest, by the way. I've had him
Oh
on.
yeah, man,
Great
we had
guy.
fantastic conversation with him, and that's one of the companies that we've been able to develop a really good relationship with. As House of Champions. They're doing some phenomenal stuff in Florida, and for anybody out there who may be watching or listening, and you're in Florida and you're wanting to cut your teeth, or maybe you need a place to evolve and want to go and find a good spot, let me tell you, that is a fantastic location to look at. Not only with Coach K, you've got Jamie Stanley, you've got Bobby Fish, Bowen, you've got Renee. Like they are doing it fucking right, and it is phenomenal to see. And don't take my word. The proof is in the talent coming out, and the
Mhm.
proof is in what they're doing. I strongly encourage, as a man who has been to many events at the HOC, step foot in that place. The energy is different. The atmosphere is different. I can't explain why, but it is, and it's infectious. It's so great, and Coach K is a big part of that. But he's my representative to smack the shit out of Matthew Ennis. So we're gonna hope that happens live on the 22nd. Also got Alex Bryant and Slade Porter. Should be a technical dream match here on the Florida scene. And we're doing what else we got going on? That's on. I'll give you those 2 matches for the 22nd. On the 31st of January, again, it's going to be in Castleberry. It's going to be in the same location, the Empire Wrestling Facility, down in Castleberry, Florida. That is on the 31st of January, and I currently have tentatively planned for a 4-way main event featuring Matthew Ennis and Keikoa, if Keikoa is available, versus Mikey Spandex, who's also Banana Ball, firefighter, as a matter of fact, versus Southern California's JT Mattioli, which I think is going to be a fantastic affair for J2 to come across, and that's the first time nobody's heard that yet. And then on the 28th of March, excuse me, headlining that show is a 2 out of 3 falls tag team match with the Pump Line, Antonio Rivers and Boa Silva, one of the, if not the greatest unsigned tag team on the West Coast. Not kidding you. Taking on the Brothers Divine, Danny Divine and Brendan Divine. Another fantastic combination of tag team as well as singles. All 4 of those cats can go. That is going to headline that show for that Southern California All Star Weekend. For me, on my side of the equation, just because I want to see it, and I know that they're going to tear it down.
Perfect, man. Chris, I just want to say thank you for joining me today. I'm looking forward to doing plenty of more work with you, whether it's on your show, maybe it's with some of these events. We'll just have to see what happens. Um, Thank you so much. This was a great time.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on, and definitely I'll get you some dates for either November or December to get you on our platform, and the door's always open. Like I said, we're trying to collaborate, and we're trying to do a lot, and it's one thing to be able to do something. It's something totally different to have funds to do something.
Yes.
And as we continue to grow, as and there's a really really big phone call coming on Tuesday. That can be another game changer, and will be all. There will not be no worries. It'll be Hakuna Matata. But definitely glad to be here. Hopefully, we can come back and do this again for sure. Definitely want to get you on my platform, and we'll see what shakes from there.
Sounds good, man. I will. I'll just leave it off at see you next time then.
All right, brother. We'll see you.